Over the past year, I've been to many different venues for anime cons and shows. Most shows are in convention centers. Maybe the artist alley's in the basement or on the main floor. Smaller shows might be in a gym or in a cafeteria. But this video is dedicated to the most unique artist alley hall that I have tabled at. The indoor track at Tora-con. Tora-con is a small college show hosted by the Rochester Institute of Technology's Anime Club. Tickets are capped at $3,000 for the weekend, and the show lasts for 2 days in late March. This year, I actually got selected from the waitlist, so I was super excited to be able to go to Tora-con 2025, because Tora-con 2024 was the first con I had a full 6-foot table to myself. I also just had a good time last year. Very enthusiastic attendees, good sales, overall comfortable experience, so I leapt at the chance to table at this year's Artist Alley. For Tora-con, I opted to drive into Rochester with my helper. I asked around and other artists said there were options for like bus or train or flying, but the area around RIT is like 90% roads and parking lots. It's just strip mall after strip mall after strip mall, and we figured we would need a car to get around Rochester anyway, so we might as well just drive in. This year the weather was super nice while driving, but last year it started snowing pretty heavily on the setup day, so just be prepared for inclement weather. Setup was on Friday from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. I decided it would be better to eat before going to setup because I could set up on an empty stomach, but it really sucks when I've done it before and I start getting kind of lightheaded, and we weren't really in a rush either, so we went to a rice noodle restaurant for dinner. I got this yogurt drink that was kind of awesome. I was not expecting there to be so many toppings. I don't even know what they put in it. On the menu it just said yogurt drink, so I was ready to get a bottle of plain yogurt, and it was comically difficult to put the straw in. I got these sauerkraut fish noodles, which were pretty spicy, and my helper got chicken broth noodles. Both were really tasty, and I would definitely recommend the restaurant if you're in the area. After a filling meal, we drove over to the venue at RIT to set up. Checking in was quick and easy, and setting up honestly went pretty fast because we just did the same cube setup as Katsucon. I don't know if you can see it, but my cubes are just a bit wider than the table, so the sticker sheet shelf is kind of hanging off the table, so luckily nothing fell off my table during the weekend. I don't really have much new merch here because I have just been working on a new OC art book that I'm planning to debut at Anime Boston. I made like one new charm of you Arknights, but I did get the square terminal because I've heard good things about it, but otherwise the setup is pretty similar to my setup for Katsucon. I shuffled around some of the self-serve items to keep my art books in the same section and to have the stickers right next to the checkout area for any last-second impulse buys. Also, I know Tora-con is not a ribbon con, but I brought my ribbons anyway since people find them funny. I did not put out the tip jars this time because I was using that space to display my sketch commission example. Overall, compared to my table from last year, I think it's safe to say that my setup has improved. Behind the setup, I got my extra small prints, table supplies, packaging, Pokemiku charms, Vocaloid charms, Arknights charms with the label, more Arknights charms, and my helper's iPad for inventory tracking. Under the table was just my large prints. Speaking of large prints, I got this legal size suitcase to hold my 11x17 prints. I just have each design in a different plastic sleeve with a tag, but for next time I will sort them by alphabetical order. Definitely a lot better than what I was doing at Katsu. I know there's also like sewing machine suitcases that are a bit bigger and also work for holding prints, but I wasn't sure if I could fly with those, so I just got this lawyer's suitcase instead. I forgot to record this, but behind us there was a nice chunk of space where we put extra charms and my standees. But the highlight for me was definitely how much space there was on the side of the table. It made it so much easier to raise my photo stand setup, and I could go in and out of the booth whenever I wanted. I think it might be because last year there were 60 artists, but this year there were only 50, so maybe that's where they got the extra space. And yes, the indoor track. It's a little goofy, but I find it really charming. They could definitely fit more artists in the area, but I think keeping it at 50 is good for both the artists and the attendees. Also, I didn't really process that this is like their actual athletic center because I got jump scared by the swimming pool when I went out to use the bathroom. Saturday was open for sales from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We arrived around 8:30 in the morning to finish setting up, like putting out the display items and all of the self-serve items. It was a lot busier than you'd expect for a small, 2-day college con. Most of my sales were in the morning to noon and then a small spike right before closing. For lunch, I ended up eating a protein bar and some chips. In between sales, I worked on a sketch commission that one of the attendees got, and it was really fun to draw on these little small and cute shikishi boards. Also, it's snowed a bit, not enough to stick to the ground, but it's not Tora-con if it doesn't snow. Unfortunately, I lost the coins for my gacha machine because they got stuck in the machine somehow, so I just had to hand the gacha balls to people, which made me feel a little bad. I got to walk around a bit towards the end of the day, and we kept the table open for a bit after the official closing in case anyone wanted to come make last-minute purchases or do trades. The temperature in the room was pretty nice and there wasn't much noise pollution. The windows also let in a lot of natural light, so Tora-con is definitely one of the more comfortable cons I've vended at. I am so grateful that the hours are only 10 to 6 and we get to have dinner at a normal time. So many cons I have just had to scrounge for scraps for dinner because the hall closes at like 8 or 9. I think the attendees were pretty good about making all their purchases within the allotted time anyways. So we covered up the table, went to eat dinner, we went to a small Chinese restaurant for the day, and then went back to the hotel to prepare for Sunday. Sunday was open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We went over to the venue around 9 a.m. after eating our hotel breakfast. I made about half of Saturday's sales on Sunday, which is pretty normal for 2-day shows in my experience. We also found the gacha machine coins after shaking around the machine a bit, since I think the coins went back up into the machine while I was transporting it. Now I am storing the coins separately from the machine, so I hope people had fun actually rolling the gacha machine on Sunday. For lunch, I had this drained instant noodles, plus hotel egg, plus some leftovers, plus pickled wood ear mix that my helper made, and the MSG was doing so much to get me through the day. I got another commission request, so I spent the downtime working on that. Honestly, it was pretty nice to keep my hands busy when I wasn't taking sales. I spent part of the afternoon doing trades and talking to other artists, since it was a lot less busy compared to day one. After the hall closed, we packed everything up, said our goodbyes, and had our victory lap dinner at a conveyor belt sushi place. We went home the next day on Monday. We probably could have gone straight home on Sunday, but we were both kind of tired, so it's probably just better to wait for the next day. Unfortunately, the weather was not nearly as nice as it was when we drove to Tora-con, but I guess that's just how things balance out. Overall, I am super happy that I was able to vend at Tora-con this year. Numbers-wise, I did a lot better than last year, yay, but I was also just excited to meet new friends and see familiar faces among the attendees and artists. Genuinely, the Tora-con crowd and staff are some of the sweetest I've ever seen, and they are definitely a huge reason why I enjoyed selling at Tora-con so much last year and this year. My best sellers this year were my large prints, the Vocaloid Charm / Gacha, and sticker sheets. I would recommend bringing around 7 to 10 of your best sellers. I'm kind of surprised that my large prints still did well this year because I've heard from other artists that the general trend is large print sales are going down. There were also a good number of attendees who came over and specifically mentioned that they were buying because they saw the catalog I posted on social media, so I would recommend posting what you're planning to bring about a week before the con. Perhaps the biggest win of the weekend was seeing the backend organization work so smoothly. The biggest improvement was definitely with the large prints, and it was so much easier to quickly grab different designs for customers. The charm organization was also more comfortable and it made it a lot quicker to refill the gacha machine. There's still some things I need to adjust, like where I put packaging, because I just started putting all the stuff I was using for commissions on top of the print sleeves, which made it kind of annoying to pull out the packaging. The square terminal was very nice. I like not having to hold out my phone and chip reader every time, but I would probably recommend waiting until it goes on sale to buy it, which happens very rarely, but it does happen, so definitely keep an eye out. Again, getting around Rochester needs a car. Look at all of these parking lots. If you aren't planning to drive, I'd probably just rent a car or be prepared to Uber around everywhere. It can also get pretty cold this time of year, so be sure to dress warmly. Even though Tora-con is a small show, all of the artists in the hall were incredible. Like, there were some big names in the hall. Because it's so small though, it's also pretty competitive to get into. This year there were only 50 tables available. If you do get into Tora-con and can keep your costs low, I'd encourage you to give it a try. I wouldn't just write it off because it's a small college show. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. And that was my experience at Tora-con 2025. Thank you to everyone who stopped by my booth, even just to say hi. I thoroughly enjoyed myself this year and I'd love to go back again if given the opportunity. My next stop is Castle Point Anime Con in April, so see you there. Bye!